Vinyasa flow, we are going to be working the stomach and spleen meridian that can help us kick our sugar habits. We're going to work with our hips and end with a pranayama to support us in anxiety, which, you know, is also a byproduct of worry and doubt and fear, which can be associated to the stomach and the spleen as well. So not to go too in depth, but the stomach and the spleen meridian we feel up here. So kind of, if you feel like that bony part of your leg, the top of the leg, the shin bone, it runs down underneath that, the inner leg, basically to the groin, and kind of zigzags up the front of your body. And then the stomach goes from the top of your foot, the front of your leg, and then through your quadricep. And same thing, basically through the groin, and zigzags up the body. So that's what we're going to feel today as we go into our movement. So we're going to begin wide-legged child's pose, just to gently open up those inner meridians, the inner leg lines for the spleen. Feel free to use anything you need under your head or your hips to feel supported in this posture. And then come on down in a place, we call this wisdom pose, where you can rest the third eye on the block, your hands, the ground, whatever works. And once you rest your head down, close your eyes and let your awareness travel up to that third eye center. And sometimes with that movement upwards towards this part, this is our kind of intuitive, even slightly instinctual in terms of our wisdom, our inner knowing. But it's also the one that connects us, the energy center in the body, that connects us to the heart and to the aura, so the 8th chakra, the energy that surrounds us. It's like the little bridge. And once you feel yourself kind of settled in that center, start to lengthen and deepen the breath. And breathe through the nose. And because we're in wide-legged child's pose, recognize that we have room to not only create the volume change, but also the pressure change. So we want to feel the breath in the front, back, and sides of the body. And I'm going to ask you today, as you breathe in your postures, to incorporate just a little bit of pranayama technique. So on the top of your inhale, if you're not pregnant, no blood pressure issues, just hold your breath in for like the count of 1. So really brief pause. And then do the same at the end of your exhale. So pause at the end of the breath. There should be no strain, no struggle, no gasping for air. It's just really brief. And then carry that with you. We're going to take the forearms down onto the floor in front of us. So if you lift your head, you're on your elbows, come forward, slide your knees underneath your hips. So we're in a forearm table. And we'll invite in some cat-cows from the forearm table. If you need to, you can hold the elbows or clasp your hands, of course, whatever works. But inhaling, lifting the heart and the head. And then exhaling, try to keep your head off the ground as you round your back. And keep going like that, inhaling to open. So targeting here the spleen and the stomach meridians that run through the torso or the upper half of the body. And remember
bring just that brief little pause at the end and the top of the breath. This will really help too to keep you focused and aware of your breathing. So things get a little less automatic or robotic in your practice. One last exhale. And then inhale, open it up. Pause. And then on your exhale, slide your legs back so you're in Sphinx Pose. Elbows are still underneath your shoulders, toes pointing straight back behind you. Take your left hand, turn it over to the right side of the mat. So you're standing on your left forearm, bend your right knee, reach back for your right hand and gently help your heel in towards your butt cheek. And if that feels too intense for your lower back to start, you can slide the elbow forward and even rest your head on your forearm. Try not to lift your right hip up, instead push it into the ground to get a deeper opening through that right quadricep. And don't forget to carry those little pauses, the top, bottom of the breath still with you. And let's switch sides. So the right foot's going to come down, right forearm stabilizes us, left hand goes back to reach for the foot. You can just help it in. If that really doesn't feel good for your knee, always modify with a strap or something, right? And holding the foot so you don't have to pull it in nearly as close. Left hip pushes down so you can feel a little bit more activation through the glutes and the quad. If you are standing up on your right forearm, see if you can even push the ground away a little bit more, elevating the chest. So really, especially if we've been experiencing a lot of doubt or worry in our lives and our hearts, which wouldn't be surprising, no judgment for ourselves, then this is an amazing practice to just kind of move any of that unsettling energy. Let's let it go. Come back into Sphinx Pose. And just pause here. And then lower your chest down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up into table pose. Inhale. And then as you exhale, downward facing dog. So nice high hips, nice relaxed head. Feel free to move around in any way that feels right for you. And just organize your body so it feels good to be in it. And we're going to take our heels up nice and high. For some of us, we may need to leave this part out, or option to walk your feet just a step in closer. Sometimes that helps. Shift the weight over to your right hand. Cross your left hand under the body. Reach for your right ankle. Maybe it's your shin, maybe it's your thigh. It really doesn't matter. Just hold the outer right leg somewhere, and if there's room, you can also press your heels back down towards the ground and peek underneath your right shoulder. A little bit of balance, a little bit of strength being cultivated. Let's switch sides. Left hand goes down, lift the heels up. Cross the right hand under your body, hold the left leg wherever you can. And if there's room, lower the heels down, peek under your left arm. Little baby twist just to start your practice. And then back into downward dog. And note that when we come into these more physically demanding postures, a little bit more challenging, that we may start to hold the breath unintentionally. So be aware on your inhales and end of the exhales that you're not holding for a really long time, your breath, right? Just a soft pause. Lift those heels up nice and high, breathe in. As you exhale, tiptoe all the way up towards the top of the mat, as many little steps as you need to get there. And then once you arrive at the top of your mat, lengthen out of your own way. So you can walk your feet a little wider, excuse me, the width of your mat so your toes point forward. Drop the hips down only in line with your knees. Don't go any lower. Crawl up onto your fingertips. Place your left hand in the center of the mat under your face. Reach your right arm up towards the sky. So modified Utkatasana. Make sure your glutes are working, hugging the knees out to the side. I'm just starting to take that twist a little bit deeper. Try not to push your hips to the right either. So everything's staying aligned behind you. Bring your right hand where your left hand was. Take that left arm up. Go breathe in. And then remember those little pauses in your breath. And you can get curious as you move pose to pose. Do you forget about them? Do they feel better doing it like that? Does it feel weird breathing that way in the pose? You see this opportunity to kind of change our relationship. Now, if it's possible, drop the hips down, turn the toes out, Malasana, hands together at your heart. If it's not possible, stay in Ganesha. You can bring forearms to thighs. A little bit of extra work for you, but that's okay. Try to pull your chest forward and breathe. If you're in Ganesha and you need a break, just straighten the legs and come back in. And take a couple of deep breaths. And then try to breathe into the front, back, and sides of the body so you still feel that pressure change. Now bring your hands down gently to the ground. Turn the toes in, lift the hips up. Walk your feet a little closer together or all the way, whatever works for your back. Lift halfway up on your breath in. As you exhale, take your right leg back behind you. Bring your knee to the mat. You're not here for long. Inhale your arms forward, or if it feels okay, up. And then exhale, bring your hands to the ground. Step into downward dog. Breathe in, pause, breathe out, step your right foot forward, bring your left knee to the ground, pause, arms forward and up, inhale, exhale, hands come down, step forward with your left foot, lengthen, breathe in, and then exhale, fold. Now we're going to stand up finally. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up to your head. And exhale, fold all the way back down to the ground. Lengthen on your breath in. Step your left foot back, bring your knee to the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms forward or up. Exhale, downward facing dog as you empty your breath. Breathe in. Pause. Exhale, step the left foot forward, knee to the ground. As you're ready, arms forward or up. Exhale, hands to the ground. You can start to feel that deeper stretch in the quadriceps. Step forward, lengthen, inhale. Exhale, bow a little deeper. Try to empty the breath, pause. Inhale all the way up to stand, deep breath in. Exhale, fold all the way back down. So starting to generate a little bit of heat through the body. Lift and lengthen as you inhale. And this time as you exhale, take your right leg back. Keep the knee up, high lunge. Hands can go forward again or up. Be compassionate with your shoulders. Exhale, bring your hands down softly to the ground. Step into plank pose, high push-up. Breathe in from your knees or your toes. Exhale, lower. Yeah, point those toes back. Take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers or hold a towel or strap. Loop the shoulders back, lift the back of your head and your heart. If it's possible, float your thumbs off your bum. Lift one more inch if you can, breathe in. Pause. Exhale, let it go. Hands under your shoulders. Table or plank pose. Inhaling, push up. And exhale, downward dog. And take one breath in. And a long breath out. Take your right leg to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. Help it up if you need to, of course. High lunge. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Step forward to the top of the mat. Lift and lengthen halfway. And exhale, bow. Utkatasana, bend the knees, drop your hips. Inhale the arms forward or up or hands to your heart. Pause. Shift the weight back into your hips and your heels. I like to keep my chin tucked in and drawn back slightly so the back of the neck gets stronger. Breath is quite a little locked, right? We call Jalandhara Bandha. And then stand up, reach up, inhale. Fold forward and down, exhale. Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. And then exhale, take that left leg back. On your breath in, high lunge. On the breath out, hands down, plank pose or modified table. Long inhale. And exhale, lower. Hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Lift what you can, pushing your feet and your hips into the ground. Keep your chin tucked in again. Nice little squeeze for the spleen, liver too. A little pressure for the stomach, inhale. And exhale, let it go. Hands under shoulders, table or plank pose, breathe in. And exhale, downward facing dog. Long breath in. Slow breath out. Pause. Left leg to the sky, breathe in. Exhale, bring it forward, help it up if you need to. High lunge on your inhale. Hands to the earth, framing that left foot. Step forward. On the breath in, get a little bit longer, even if your hands need to come to your legs. And then exhale, navel to spine, head heavy. Utkatasana, bend the knees, drop the hips. Remember in this pose, your feet and knees are touching, or both of them are hip width apart, so you're not taking the knees and buckling them in, creating a little bit of tension that might not feel good in your back. So not just about lengthening through these areas of meridians, but also you can feel that energetic, right, of the quads, the strengthening, the energy moving. And then let's stand up, reach up, inhale. And exhale, fold. A nice long inhale to lengthen your spine. And then exhale, step your right foot back and then your left foot as well, plank pose. Breathe in. Exhale, lower. Feel free to hover in chaturanga. And then cobra or upward dog, inhaling. And exhale, downward facing dog. All right, so take your left leg to the sky first as you breathe in. As you exhale, bend into the left knee, pull your heel over towards your right hip. Inhale deeply. And exhale, swing that left leg forward between your hands, place it down softly on the ground, and one more time into a high lunge, breathe in. And this time you're going to settle in with your hands at the heart. You can do this with your back knee on the ground if you need to as well. Lean forward over your left thigh, breathe in, draw the navel in, and as you exhale, take your right elbow to the top or outer edge of your left leg to twist. If it's too intense, feel free to bring your hand to a block of the ground, left hand to thigh. Right, so all levels, you do what you can. Can just be your energy today too, right? Next exhale, exhale, bring the hands down gently to the ground. Flip your right heel down, warrior two. So with the help of your right arm, come on up. And then you might organize your legs a little bit more and just settle into your pose. You got it. Gaze over that left middle finger, steady the eyes, steady the mind. Oftentimes anxiety is when the mind leaves us in various directions, a lot of it caused by worry. It's all connected. So focus the eyes, focus the mind. Remember those inhale, pause, exhale, pause. And then let's bring the hands onto the hips, softly lengthen up that left leg, turn the left toes in. You need to walk your feet a little closer, line up the heels, and then inhale, pull your heart forward, push your hips forward, and exhale, fold towards the ground, leading with your heart. And now bring your hands to the ground softly, lift up a little bit, breathe in. And as you exhale, turn your right toes out, bend into the right knee so you have Skandasana. But now automatically people always walk over to this foot, which I don't get because then you take the beautiful lengthening out of that extended leg. Keep your hands at the center of the mat and even try to lift your left hip a little bit so you're really active through that left leg. And then the right leg is like in Ganesha again, it's pushing out to the right. You can even use your right hand if you want for a little extra help. And then you want to keep that position and walk over towards the left leg. So maybe one or both hands pull you to that left leg. Right knee stays bent, just do your best. Good. And then we're going to turn back over the left leg into the lunge. So just shift your feet and your hands. Now this might be where you need your block coming into twisted half moon. So you can place it in front of you. You can start with the highest level perhaps. And you wanted a couple of feet in front of you, at least a foot so you have enough room. Because as you come forward, right hand is coming up onto block, right leg is going to lift up. And then your left arm goes to the sky. And there's lots of levels to your block, so you can always play. And then don't forget, especially here, a little challenge perhaps with that retention on your inhale or the exhale. Sometimes the body just like really wants to breathe in or really needs to breathe out. Good. Now you're going to bring your left hand to the block of the ground, step your right foot through. So basically bring your knee to your chest, come on up to stand on that left leg, and then pause. And grab your bearings. So we're standing up, right knee is up, left leg is down. You're going to now swing your right leg back and catch that foot with your hand again. Left hand on left hip, on your heart. Your hip works too though. And then option is you push your hips forward, try to find that quad stretch to start, and lengthening out through the side. Option is to take that left arm up, stay in the quad stretch, or as long as you can continue to cultivate a little bit of intensity or tension, like purposefully in that right leg, so it's not a dump into the lower back pose, right? So we push the hips forward, lengthen up, and we keep that tension through the leg as we kick back. So we're still getting a good opening through the quadriceps. That's what you're looking for right now. Okay, so it's a strengthen and the lengthen to move that energy. Good, and then bring your knee back. Left hand onto your heart.
Step your foot down. Bring your right hand over your left hand. So you're standing, right hand over left hand. Pause, close the eyes. And that gift of life, that pulse of life, just noticing your heartbeat. Let the eyes flutter open, the arms stretch up. It's like it's first thing in the morning. You can even lean back a little bit. And exhale, fold forward. Softening down, move the block out of the way if you are using it. And then lengthen on your breath in. And as you exhale, step that left foot back. And then your right foot plank pose. Feel free to leave this out if you want, or use your knees. Next exhale, lower, possibly hover. And then inhale to your back bend to open up that heart again. And exhale into downward facing dog. So little movements and postures like placing our hands on the heart, right? We are deprived of touch. Even things like handshakes have been cut out of our lives. So probably like a quarter of the touch we were at before the pandemic. So anytime you can offer that sense of touch to yourself, use that opportunity. Take your right leg to the sky, breathe in. As you exhale, bend the knee and gently open that hip. Pull the heel in, breathe in. And then exhale, bring that foot forward between your hands as you need. Remember, you can do this part from even a low lunge if that feels better in your body. You can start with your hands at your heart if you need. And then bring the hands into prayer pose. Your twist, how we went in together last time, is we lean forward, breathe in and pause. And then exhale, hook the elbow. We tend to associate yoga with really big postures, really big sensations, even sometimes really big emotions. You're like, oh, it worked, I cried, you know. But sometimes just standing there, your hands on your heart, feeling your heartbeat, your breath, breathing, is the most important yoga we can do all day. Really grounding. Bring your hands to the earth and shift over to the long edge of your mat again. This time, as you inhale, lengthen out, leave your hands in the center of the mat, turn the left toes out, bend your left knee, and drop your hips down. Remember, you can use your left hand to push your left knee out and try to lift, probably a better angle almost with my asana in your face. To see, right? So you often want to do this. You try to lift that hip up. And speaking of intensity, right? Here it is. So make sure as you walk your hands over to your right leg and pull yourself in softly, can you maintain that little pause in your breathing? And we're going to shift our feet all the way back into the lunge at the top of our mat. Take that block, whatever level you used last time, it's probably pretty good to assume you can be there now. Right hand to the block, lift that right leg up, and when you feel prepared, take your right arm up to the sky. Try to really activate through both your feet. Good. And then from there, right hand will come down to stabilize. You pull the left knee in towards your chest and stand up. Do a little dance. Okay. Once you arrive steady,
Kick the left leg back, hold it with your left hand, right hand to heart. Steady eyes, find that unmoving point again on which to look. And if you're going into dancer's pose, that right arm can go up. You can kick your foot back. And realizing that I missed a warrior two on this side, we're gonna come in right from our dancer's pose. So, let your foot go. Take a giant step back. Arms go up into that lunge one last time. Breathe in. And then open it up into your warrior two over your right leg. Gaze over your right middle finger. I want to make sure I'm getting those hips for our request as well. Push into the outer edge of your left foot. Squeeze the right knee to the right. And those little pauses in our breath are setting us up for our pranayama practice for anxiety. Good. Cartwheel the hands down slowly. And step into plank pose. Your choice. Downward dog, or you can go through one little float to get those meridians on the torso. Breathing in. And downward dog as you breathe out. One more time, take your left leg to the sky, inhale. And then exhale, step your left foot forward between your hands softly. Place the right knee down on the mat again. Feel free to use a block under your right hand. Left hand to left thigh. And gently twist your body to the left. This is one of my favorite poses. It's like a free chiropractic adjustment. Always get a good little back crack. So you're welcome. Good. If there's room in your body to pick up your right foot, much deeper quad stretch, you can also reach back for the foot and help the heel in. And softening the hips, lifting the heart. Now as your foot is lifted, bring it back down, left hand to the ground. Pick up your right knee. Bring your right hand to the block again. Same pose, twisted half moon. Right leg lifts up, left arm floats to the sky. And just what you did moments ago, pull your right heel in, reach back for your right foot, roll the left shoulder back, maybe push your foot into your hand, opening up into a little back bend. Good. And then let your foot go back into a lunge. So big giant step back. Drop your hands to the mat mindfully. Turn into wide-legged forward fold. Lift on the inhale. Super simple in terms of what we're offering. Exhale, just fold. If there's a variation or you want to come into an inversion that serves your energy or your practice, you're welcome to do that, of course. Otherwise, use the opportunity just to chill out. Feel that spleen meridian, right, up the inner edges of your leg into the groin. And then lift up halfway. We're going to do the same thing. We're just turning to the back of the mat. So make sure you bring your block with you. Turn it over your right leg. Bring your left knee down to the ground. Left hand stays down. Right hand to right thigh. Gently twist open. Gazing over your right shoulder. And that option still lives that you can lift your left leg, reach back for your left foot, help your heel in. Be compassionate with the quads, hip flexors. And let your foot come down. Right hand to the ground. Pick up that left knee. Left hand onto your block. Get yourself set up. Lift up the right leg. Just going to shift back. So then the frame still, right arm reaches up. And then option to bend into the left knee again. Pull and then push. Still a little pause, top and bottom of the breath. Let that foot go way back behind you. Both hands find the mat. Turn yourself to the long edge again. Coming into the wide-legged forward fold in all its simplicity in terms of shape right now. Just folding and coming down. Try to find some firmness through the outer edges of your feet. Weight in the balls of the toes, not just your heels. And then lift yourself up, breathe in. Come over your left leg again as you breathe out. Place your right knee on the ground. Table pose, left leg slides back. Good. From here, grab a hold of that block. For many of you, you might sit on the block. If you can go without the block, amazing. Don't hurt your knees. It's like so not worth it. It's just a pose that can be done as beautifully with a block. Virasana. If you're sitting on the ground between your feet, your heels are up, your toes are pointing back behind you. Okay? I just had this thought of, like, went to a class a while ago and the teacher kept saying from here. It was driving me nuts, and I just caught myself saying it like 5 times in a row. There's something about teaching online where you kind of go into default mode, so I apologize if that got annoying. I will be mindful. Hands behind you, heart lifts up, gaze looks up. If your knees are healthy and you're not on a block, you can also choose to lower down onto your elbows. We're not here too long, but if you want to even use blocks or a bolster like you would in supported fish under the back of your heart and your head here, you can do that too. And then a last option is to come all the way down onto the back. You can even stretch your arms behind you and hold your elbows. And it really doesn't matter what shape your body is in. What matters is your connection to the breath. We don't have to have big, huge sensation, really deep pose. And yet it's still yoga. And this is kind of another way that we can carry the doubt and the worry into our practice. Am I doing it right? Should I do it a different way? That kind of worrisome narrative, really close to critical. They kind of live together. Okay, let's come on up, especially if you're on your back. Try not to whip your head to bring yourself up. So just help through the elbows. And walk yourself into table so we get some fresh blood and energy into those legs. Take it into down dog. Or you can just do child's pose too if you like, prefer. If you want to be still, be still. If you want to move around, move around. And then your choice, hop, walk, or float into seated, bringing the legs out in front of you. I'm going to show you really quickly before we lay down on our back what I'm expecting of you in the next pose. And by expect you to try, but you don't need to be able to do it. But oftentimes when people are laying down and I try to explain it, they have no idea what's going on. And I've seen some bad things for knees and feet and ankles. So just watch me for 1 second. I'll take you out of the flow. We're coming into a supported bridge. So the block is underneath your sacrum, your lower back. And I suggest you do lowest level.
Take your ego out of it, lowest level. So once you're down on your back and the block is underneath your low back or your bum, you're going to be asked to scoop your foot. So you hold your ankle, point the toes back, and bring the top of your foot to the mat. And we're looking to try to slide it back to a point where you can bring your knee to the ground. And then the next option will be knee. This is really intense and hard on the knees. So if you can't do it, you can just stay in a bridge pose. And then from bridge pose, you can let your knees fall open and bring the soles of your feet together and try that option to get the spleen meridian instead of the stomach. Or just do that with no block on the ground. Okay? So bring yourself down, find your way into a supported bridge on the lowest level. And we'll begin with our right leg. So you want to scoop the right leg back, holding the ankle and just support it. So it's exactly like doing Virasana. Top of the foot, toes pointing back, knee. If it doesn't touch all the way down, that's fine, as long as it doesn't hurt your knee. And if you get your knee to the ground and it still feels okay, you can play with lifting your left heel, your left foot, or taking your hands onto your left shin. Lots happening here. So relax your jaw. Make sure you're not holding your breath except for those intentional pauses between them. Bring your left foot down. If you've taken the right foot back, place it on the ground and move to the other side. So remember, side to side can be really different. So pause, just like your breath for a moment or two. Check in before you assume. And if it feels okay, you can take that right leg up. Okay, bring your right foot down, help your left foot onto the ground if you need to, lift those hips up, move your block to the side and lower them back down. And gently draw both knees into your chest, just gently release the back. And you can rock to the side or rock and roll on your spine a couple times to bring yourself up to seated. And once you come into seated, bring the soles of your feet together. Love if you could think of this a little bit more like a yin posture. So instead of trying to help your heels in, have some space so we get that full meridian, target the hips and the hamstrings. We will take the block, if you like to use one, between your head and your feet. Be compassionate. And come forward and down. And if nothing else, give yourself permission to just drop out of your brain and into your body for these next few breaths. One of the most grounding things we can do when we feel anxious is just move down the body. Guided relaxations are really good for anxiety, movement, ones that really stimulate sensation so that you can
Really stay connected to viscerally to the body, but be mindful that it doesn't create more anxiety. And bring yourself back up to sit.
So for example, things that can create more anxiety would be like spinning or you know, running intensely, these types of things. It can kind of trigger the nervous system without us really knowing it, and then later on we feel anxious. I had that with coffee for a long time. I couldn't figure out like why it's 2 in the afternoon. I would feel high anxiety, and it was from my one coffee at 8 a.m. and that's how long it was taking my body to process caffeine and cut that out and no more anxiety. So you never know. Let's find a comfortable seat. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to this pranayama. It's modified gently from a Kundalini pranayama or meditation for anxiety, and it kind of incorporates everything that we've been doing in some way. And I really recommend that we've been pausing in at the top and pausing out at the bottom. If that's enough for you, or you can even feel like little twinges of like your body wanting to resist it or that anxious feeling, just stay with that. But it's important to kind of stay with it because we're training the nervous system. We're strengthening the nervous system. So just stay there. If it's available though today, what I want you to do now is inhale as deeply as you can in all the circumference from back and sides. Pause at the top for 5. Exhale as deeply as you can and really make sure you fully exhale. A lot of us don't. Pause at the bottom for 5. If you need to cut it to 3 or stay at 1, that's fine. Left hand to heart, right hand on top, eyes closed. Sit up tall. And just do your best, inhaling for as deeply as you can so you feel really filled up. And then holding the breath at the top for 5. And exhaling softly, slowly, really emptying. Make sure the navel draws back. And holding at the bottom for 5. And those counts of 5, if you can feel, even if it's subtle, your heart beating, you can use the heartbeat as the count or the timer. So you're not speeding up the count of 5 at the top or the bottom. It holds pace for you. The simple act of touching your heart releases hormones like oxytocin, serotonin. Keeping that pattern, bring your inner gaze up to the third eye again, that space between the eyebrows. take a couple of long, deep breaths, no pauses, through the nose. Observe any subtle differences in your energy. Let's join the palms in Anjali Mudra, or prayer position. Let your head soften down towards your heart. So head consciousness honors heart consciousness. And if you'd like to say a prayer, or make a wish, or dedicate this practice, this energy, now's the time. And we seal the space and everything created from a place of love with the sound of Om. Feel free, if you need to, wherever you might be, to do it on the inside. Inhaling. Letting your eyes blink open, and this gesture reminds you that the practice of yoga is bigger than just your physical body. So before you get up and walk away, decide on how you are going to spend the rest of the night carrying a piece of your practice with you now. And thank you so much for being here. Always an honor and a pleasure to guide you.